All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Axle1324. And as always, I'm joined by my Halo partner in crime, and that is Mr. Lethal Terminus. What's going on, Lethal?
Hey, how's it going, Axel? Glad to be here.
Yeah. Hey. Whew. This week. What a week. What do you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Hold on. Let me get some sharing stuff out of the way. By the way, guys, if you join anytime in the chat, just say hi so that I know you're here. That way I can, say hi back. You know how it goes. Sorry, I'm trying to do like 15 things at once over here. Waiting for the stream little loader to load and be muted. There we go. All right. Let's get right into this, Lethal, because episode 6 was a doozy, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, my wife is here. She's dabbing across the screen. Hey, thank you so much for being here, my lovely wife. I appreciate all the support you always give me throughout our life. All right, let me add this to the stream. All right, Lethal, we're opening up. Tell us what's going on here real quick while I finish doing some of the stuff.
Well, John's just reflecting on everything that he took in from when he learned that Halsey had betrayed him, excuse me. And it's really getting to him. You know, when you fight for something that you believed in for pretty much all your life, and then learn that, it wasn't by choice, that you were forced to do it, that your memories were suppressed, that your family was taken from you. That's a lot of heavy stuff, and Chief is definitely reflecting on all this, and just kind of questioning his place in all this, and definitely furious at Dr. Halsey.
Yeah, you can just see the underlying anger. He was so angry that he completely zoned out the fact that hold on, that during the scene when it kind of comes out that Kaya is like in pain. She's right there. She's in pain. She's suffering, and Chief is just like, whatever, Kai. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The other two Spartans, Rez and Vinnick.
Vatican.
Yeah, that's his name, Vinnick, right? They're over there trying to get Kai to settle down enough to start making her feel better, and Master Chief is just like looking like nothing.
Yeah, completely unfazed.
Unfazed. He is in his own emotional turmoil. But I gotta tell you, man, this episode is the episode that put the emotional Master Chief, the Master Chief that we're not used to. They finally used all those emotions in a good storytelling way, and we'll get into that. Would you agree with that statement?
I would completely agree. Yeah, I think they did a good job this episode with all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And my wife says that she loves this Halo TV show because, and she watches me play the games, and I make her watch some of the Halo movies and stuff. And she goes, I thought he was a robot this whole time, and this TV show shows me that he's not a robot. And I'm like, what do you mean he's a robot? But I guess it's the emotion, man. That damn pellet. So yeah, let's move on. So over here, he's basically blaming himself for letting the artifact get away. And Captain Keyes tells him, oh, no, it's okay. You saved 150 Marines' lives, even though thousands were lost, as you learn later on in the episode, right? So, hey, saving 10% of your combat force, hey, at least people were alive, because usually the Covenant does not leave people alive.
Yeah, 100%. I'll say this. It's, I don't blame Chief for not being able to, land a hit on Aatrox. It's, and by the way, it was confirmed that it was Aatrox, the the artist who made that model for the Brute, confirmed it was Aatrox.
Yeah. Just rub it in, Lethal.
I had to do it.
Okay, or over here hearing me scream like Kai, and you're just like, Master Chief, whatever. It was Aatrox. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad it was Aatrox. And as you said, it makes sense that, out with the old, in with the new. You know what they say. So yeah, they go over this. And here we go. The first good emotional outburst of this. I'll let you explain this scene here, Lethal. We'll take turns. I'll explain the scene, you explain the scene. Go ahead and tell us what happened here and what you thought.
All right, so Chief just goes on about I forget his name. It was one of the ship technicians or something. Someone that
Ship
designed some sort
designers
of
or
a
something like that.
yeah fail safe for some of the protocols or whatever on the ship, and tells Cortana about it. And then he basically just does that. He accesses a few panels and overrides the some of the panels so that the room that Halsey's in pretty much initiates a sequence that counts down. So if she was still in there, she would get vaporized pretty much or whatever. And it's a very emotional scene for sure because Chief is dead set on this. He wanted to make Halsey pay, make Halsey suffer, and it'd be what a brutal way to go down if they didn't. Cortana didn't kind of reason with him,
Yeah, so he's over here making Cortana, so he knows that Cortana can shut him down now. So obviously he doesn't trust Cortana in any meaningful way, right? And she did it to save Dr. Halsey. So Chief putting two and two together. Now he's threatening Dr. Halsey again. And Chief basically saying, make me open this door before she gets hit with so much radiation that her body liquefies almost instantly, right? And Cortana's like, I can't. All I can do is, shut down your neural pathways or whatever. But going a little further back, if you recall, Cortana's main function was to take full control of Master Chief. It's just that Dr. Halsey stopped her for the sake of the artifact. So this whole I can't thing, I can't. I have a feeling she will later on. What do you think?
I'm sorry, repeat that again for me.
Yeah, so in the episode where Cortana is introduced, she was designed to completely take over the Master Chief's body.
Yeah.
So it's not beyond her capability. It's just that she can't do it right now. And he basically plays a game of chicken with her using Dr. Halsey. And right at the last minute, Chief pulls her out. By the way, I loved this scene. I thought she should have died. There's no character I hate right now on the UNSC side than Dr. Halsey. He pulls Dr. Halsey out and straight up gives her a warning. Don't get too comfortable. I just wanted to check the limits of your AI. Right? And I love that scene. Basically, don't get too comfortable. I'm still, yeah. I love it. So what do you think about this line right here?
Well, it tells you something for sure that Chief is not going to exactly stop. If Halsey gets herself into the situation, the Chief's not going to save her this time.
Right. Exactly. And then we move on. They're talking about McKee, how they don't know if she's a spy or if she's if she was a long-term prisoner or what the deal is with her. She says she'll only talk to the Master Chief, and there's some little conversation back and forth that Master Chief should or shouldn't. Dr. Keyes says that he's debriefed lots of people, he's capable, and they move on into it. But I thought this whole thing that, everybody has speculation on McKee, which I think is nice and believable, if I'm being honest with you. So I do like this part. Well, what do you think of this scene real quick? It was just a little short scene.
Yeah, not very long, but all the speculation is definitely warranted. We've never seen anything like this before. They summed it up very simply, like, he went in the Covenants on her.
Yeah, exactly. And real quick, shout out to the Crazy Greek Dude. Yo, hey, Crazy Greek Dude, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate you. And if you have any thoughts about anything we say, be sure to put it in the chat. If you have any questions, be sure to put it in the chat. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Let's move on. So almost in the same scene, we now see some, what I would assume is some politicians, because, this guy, they make fun of him for never wearing the uniform, right? And they're talking about removing Parangoski because she's not getting results. And, they're basically telling her, you know how this goes. We need results. Otherwise, you're going to get replaced with someone who can't get results, la, 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 right? And so Parangoski just I was kind of a little excited based on what you told me on her. I'm like, oh man, I want to see how she finesses these guys I'm 100% there. I want to see the finessing. What do you think of this part?
Well, these guys are definitely top Oni officials, and if you know anything about Oni officials, they are cold-hearted. They have no soul. They do not care about anything except for playing by the book.
Mm-hmm. If only has a book to play with. It seems to be a pretty broad book.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's basically a don't get caught book. You know, it kind of like it reminds me kind of like of that Spartan training that they used to go to, the Spartans, the actual Spartans, our Spartans, the Greek Spartans, how they would have to steal, and if they got caught, they got beat, not for stealing, but for getting caught. You know what I mean? It's like you need results. Yeah. And so Oni is kind of the same way. Like, kind of don't care what you do as long as you don't get caught.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
Yeah. So I kind of see the little similarities between the two, All right. And here, Master Chief is debriefing McKee. McKee talks about how they're the same and what they call her. What was the word she used that they call her? Do you recall?
Oh, I don't remember the way they said word. It, no.
Yeah, I don't remember. But it basically translated to the blessed one. Master Chief starts having the flashbacks to that crazy guy in the rubble.
Wrath, yeah.
Yeah. And
the guy that was literally a jackal that replaced as a human.
Yeah, exactly him. And he has he kind of has like a nervous breakdown, it looks like, if I'm being honest with you. What do you think of this scene?
Well, I think McKee knew right away that Chief was just like him, or her, excuse me, that had these special abilities to be able to access these artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Chief expected it. And I think it opens a can of worms for a lot of things that I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and and also this is also where McKee basically says that they call him the demon. So that I thought that was also cool. So this was also the scene where Master Chief learns that his nickname amongst his enemy is the demon. So that was also
cool. 1 moment, X. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, yeah. All right. So McKee also tells them about a star system that is an important site to the Covenant. She says she's never been there, but it's an important star system, all this and all that. She gives them some little drops of information, maybe to build some trust. And so they start looking for it. And, they're pointing all their sensors, all their satellites. They're trying to find something in this system. And I don't, and, here you see Captain Keyes say, find me a planet that can support Covenant life in this system. And I really like this scene because it kind of showed urgency. They're showing some urgency to maybe get some intel on the Covenant and maybe do a counter strike. So yeah, I really enjoyed this scene, guys.
I'm back.
Yeah. So I was just telling them about this scene where Captain Keyes is looking for that planet based on the McKee information, and I really enjoyed this scene because it just shows that if you know what your enemy is, you can sort of start to predict what they're going to do. It's good intel to have, and maybe even launch a counter strike. What'd you think of this nice urgent scene where everybody's, pointing all their sensors and satellites over to this little droplet of information that McKee gave them?
Well, what I liked is that Captain Keyes was giving orders, and they were, loud orders. Mm-hmm. They were strong orders. I just like his commanding presence, and I thought that was good to show for once.
Yeah. So that's I thought that was really nice. We finally did start to see Captain Keyes, be a dang captain.
We still need to see him commanding a ship, but it's a good start.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. They brought in someone to interrogate, I guess, Dr. Halsey. And Paragoski right here says, the committee needs a scapegoat. I'm giving them one. Basically, it's not going to be me. It's going to be you. What do you think of this scene here where they started interviewing her?
Well, what I liked is the what is it, the little camera thing, I guess they had that
Yeah,
like
the little
asking kids, see the entire room. It's like really cool technology. I like that for one.
yeah.
But
Let's
yeah,
roll. Let's roll right in. I'm sorry, Lethal. I don't mean to cut you off.
or
But
maybe
real
I was
quick,
just going on about that.
let's check in with John 9079. He says, "What's up, guys? What's up, John? Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you stopping by. Let us know what you thought of episode 6, if you've seen it, or what you think of what we're saying about it." Yeah, these are like little projections that nobody can see. Dr. Halsey wanders in there and somehow takes it upon herself to join in, and Paragonsky lets her. He didn't want her to be there. Obviously, her father. Paragonsky is like, "Be quiet, shut up," all this stuff, right? And Master Chief starts interviewing or starts interrogating Dr. Halsey. What did you think of the conversation between Dr. Halsey and the Chief here?
Or on a side note, first, I just thought it was funny how the scene's not here, but it was funny where Dr. Keys just, pops in out of nowhere. So, Dr. Keys has entered the chat. But,
Dr. Keys has entered the chat. Yes, absolutely.
But, what I liked at first as well is, the guy who was interviewing Halsey stepped right away, right when Chief said, "Hey, give me clear the room." It didn't matter that he was having an interrogation. You don't mess with the Chief. So I like that. And I liked how Halsey kept it real with Chief for the most part. I think he knew that he would see right through her if she was gonna kind of sugarcoat it almost. So she kind of had to tell him pretty much everything besides who was involved. Oh, actually, you muted. Actually, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. My mic was muted. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I really like this scene too because Dr. Halsey, for the most part, was honest with Chief. She finally told him how old he was when he kidnapped him. Told him what happened with what she replaced him with, the Flash clones that were basically designed to die. The fact that his parents grieved a dead clone, and it's like, oh, it was reasonable, and Dr. Chief and Master Chief, I'm all over the place today, and Master Chief goes, "Oh, kidnapping children, is that reasonable to you? Making my parents grieve a dead copy that grieve their dead son, is that reasonable to you?" Blah blah blah, like just infuriating him further, I believe. But what do you expect? You're telling him this when he's grown up instead of when he was younger. Obviously he's going to have more emotions instead of acceptance. It's going to be harder, you know?
And you know what I liked about this too? Halsey basically found a way to almost turn it on Chief. Was like, hey, now you have these gifts, and what we've discovered is pretty much changed everything that we thought we knew about the universe, and we basically need your help to access these keys and learn more.
Yeah, basically saying that it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so yeah, it was definitely something. It was a really good scene, I thought, because it also leaned heavily on actual lore, very accurately. What do you think about this exchange? Like the story that Halsey was telling them, was it lore accurate?
The story is more or less completely lore accurate. What you said, kidnapped children at the age of 6 and built them up from there, pretty much.
That's right.
All the Flash cloning, all that stuff.
That's right. First they teach them to be silent, then they taught them how to be Spartans.
Exactly.
That's right. And now Master Chief is done interrogating Dr. Halsey. the other Dr. Halsey comes out and tries to like apologize, and he's not willing to hear any of it. And he basically tells her that McKee says that she can interact with the artifact. Can she verify that? And she agrees to it. What do you think about this scene where like she tried to show some sympathy and he just stayed on task? What do you think?
Yeah, he does not care. He just needs what he needs, nobody else.
Right. Like, I don't need your sympathy.
Yeah, I don't need to hear what you think.
That's right. Save your pity for the weak. Okay, and the same scene though, Cortana comes in and basically tells him, that, oh, I'm here to help you. It's what I'm designed to do. Blah 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 blah. I'm designed to solve problems. And Chief essentially dismisses her and says, "First chance I get, I'm getting you out of my head." And she says, "Well, what do I do now?" And he basically shoos her away. Says, "I don't know. Go solve problems. There's plenty in the galaxy." What do you think of this scene here, where he dismisses Cortana and she basically disappears?
Yeah, he's been dismissive of Cortana pretty much this entire time. He really doesn't care for her whatsoever. And yeah, he's just saying, yeah, go do your own thing, I guess. Just solve other problems. I don't need you. And Cortana can definitely solve problems, and she's going to find a way, to get Chief back, pretty much.
I'm so the character I'm having the hardest problem with in this entire series is the Chief Cortana relationship. In the Halo series, they almost instantly trusted each other. They were made to complement each other. Or Cortana was made to complement Chief's abilities. And this Cortana is kind of the opposite of what is in the lore. And it's bothering me because I still am not seeing how she's fitting into it. It's not coming full circle, the Cortana Chief relationship. And also, they didn't put her in the little chip that's removable. They put her dead into the Chief's brain, and somehow she leaves him. Like, she can transfer herself out of his brain. And I don't know. They don't do much of a job of explaining that, and it's kind of weird. What do you think about this?
Yeah, they don't explain any of it, do they? How we can see Cortana, like everyone can see her. Like if she just steps out of Chief's body or whatever. Yeah, they really don't do much explaining. But yeah, I get what you're saying about the relationship between Chief and Cortana. It's like, I don't know, like a child you didn't ask for or something,
Child you didn't ask for. In my life, that's all of them. I don't have any children. That's why I said if I ever have a child, I certainly didn't ask for one.
Right.
But I love children, though. They're amazing. Yeah, no, you threw me off with that comment. Yeah, I find it weird that she can choose to transfer herself out of Chief and transfer herself back in. Like, it was starting to make sense, like why she's in Chief's brain, so that way they can talk to each other, right? Without anybody else knowing their conversations, which does happen in the video games, but it's just not making sense to me why there's so much tension between them. And I think it's because Chief is seeing her as an accomplice to, he says, your creator. He tells her, your creator's going to die. This is going to die. There's a definite separation between Chief and Cortana, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. All right, so what do we got going on here, Lethal?
Oh, I got look at this scene real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so Chief is basically just talking to Kai about what he learned from Halsey and everything that Halsey told her. And she's basically just taking it all in, like Chief is, kind of, trying to understand what it all means, kind of where to go next from all this, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And she also asked if she's told the other Spartans, the other Spartans who still have the emotion pellet in them. So he chooses to tell the one Spartan that has removed the emotion pellet. So that was an interesting choice. And maybe it's because he needs someone who can feel like he feels.
Yeah, exactly.
Seeing how she reacts,
without any barriers of any kind.
Yeah. But she says, on the bright side, she basically reassures him, like, no matter what, we're still Spartans. Like, we're still Spartans. So I think that line was also important. All right. That's one of my favorite scenes. Break this scene down for me, Lethal.
Okay, so Halsey pretty much just walks in and says, "Hey, I didn't rat you out. I said what I needed to say, but your reputation, all that stuff is fine. You're not gonna, be exposed or whatever." And that was the biggest thing here because, if Parangoski had, been exposed or something, there would have been a lot more hell to pay.
Yeah. And Parangoski basically scapegoated her. And so Parangoski and she's taking care of business, doing it the only way, right?
Yes.
And when she was telling, "Oh, you're gonna go somewhere else and work where you can work and all this stuff," in my head, I'm thinking sword base. It definitely has to be sword base, right? It's house arrest. I was so depressed. Why did it have to be house arrest, man? It should have been sword base. What do you think of this? Were you depressed that it wasn't sword base?
I would have liked it to be sword based. That would have been a nice callback for sure to a great mission. But yeah, what I liked is like what you said. She did it the only way. That's true. Like, okay, we're gonna say that we did all this to fix the problem, whatever. But we're still gonna use you in any way we can without anyone else knowing. That's definitely the only way, or the only way.
Right, which was the sword base, It was, I mean, in the lore, it's sword base, right? Nobody knows what she's doing down in sword base. Everybody just accepts that she's doing it. Like, you're killing me, TV show. You're killing me. All right. So next we see this scene with McKee and Dr. Halsey. And she's drawing blood for analysis, of course. And she basically recollects the incident where McKee, a Corvette attacked a Unity frigate. Was it? Was it a frigate?
Yeah, it was a small frigate.
Yeah. A Corvette attacked a frigate and it killed everybody on board, and it looked just like hers, and we know that it was McKee's Corvette, right? So this was just an interesting exchange, and she's asking McKee for help with translation, and she opens herself up to help, and she opens herself up to McKee too, like, hey, if you need anything, let me know, la la la, the good old buddy, you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of thing. And she also said she was going to get her some proper clothes. What'd you make of this scene here?
Well, in a way, I feel that Keys might have known that McKee actually was behind this all, with, the frigate that was attacked, and, by the Corvette was identical to the one you were in. And there was a Sangheili, language on board the ship communicating and all this. The way she kind of said at the end, she was like, "Oh, well, we'll figure out. We're still working on decoding all of it." Kind of like, okay, right. Well, we don't know for sure, but once we do, we might catch you.
Yeah, I think this was an important thing because McKee's finally starting to see the other side of the war, because she's been fed the Covenant side no matter what, but she's finally starting to see the other side of the war, where she sees some of the pain that the Covenant is causing to the humanity. So we'll see what happens with McKee. Is she gonna stay cold-blooded, or is she gonna stay on her Covenant spy mission, or is she gonna switch sides? We'll see. All right. Master Chief is not feeling well. Cortana has told him he needs medical help. Keys has told him he needs medical help. Everybody's basically been telling him to go see a doctor, and he hasn't. So he goes into into the ship. He takes his vitals to see what the result is, and his status is critical. So Master Chief is not doing well. He's hurt, guys. He's hurt big time. What do you think of this one?
Well, what I remember from the scene the most, ironically enough, is Quan Ha. I remember the flashback, like, "Oh, you're gonna live."
Oh yeah, you're right. I totally
It's the
forgot
only
that.
time we saw
Yeah,
Quan Ha in this
yeah,
episode. And you know what? I'm all for it. There was like no Quan Ha this episode, and it was good.
yeah. That's another thing I really loved about the episode is that it focused on what was happening around the chief. No Quan Ha, um, emotional, reactive, spoiled teenager stuff.
But I will say this actually, even though there was no Quan Ha, looks like apparently there might be a lot of Quan Ha next episode, like almost all Quan Ha.
All right, yeah, no problem. Well, we'll see what happens. Because this was episode 6, 7, and then there's only 9 episodes in the season, so they got to start
Yeah.
either drawing some of these stories to a close or setting them up for that anticipated season 2. So here we go. All right, so Dr. Halsey's under house arrest. She has all this stuff, and her minion, I forget his name is, starts with an A of some kind.
Aiden, I think.
What is it?
Aiden.
Aiden, yeah, Aiden. She says, "Oh, what will Cortana do?" And she says, "Oh, Cortana will come back home." And he basically says, "Oh, I basically nobody can get through the firewalls. I made sure that there were traps and everything else. That she will never make it." And she says, "I didn't design Cortana to give up." So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. Halsey's brilliant. She is a brilliant scientist. She has a brilliant mind, and if there's one thing that she can do, it's create stuff and solve problems, and by extension, Cortana can do that as well. So there's nothing
Right.
that Cortana really can't do for the most part.
Right. Now here we see the other span, Vanek and Riz, getting upgrades to upgrading their weapons to newer stuff. And Kai comes in and helps them. And as they're talking, she thinks about it and she almost opens her mouth to say something. And she, at the last minute, decides not to. Like, no, not right now. Now's not the time. All that good stuff. You know, I don't think they've ever I don't think these Spartans have ever kept a secret from one another ever before in the team. And so for her to choose to not open her mouth, I think it's, just kind of no, let Chief handle this kind of stuff, What do you think of this scene?
Okay, well, first off, I did like the scene because of all the weaponry they had in here. We finally saw the Spartan laser. I thought that was cool.
5 shots.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. I think 5 shots, like ODST or something. Most of them it's 4 shots though. But yeah, the Spartans just talking about this field technology they have, all these weapons, how to upgrade them. It's cool back and forth talk with that. And like you were saying in the second part, yeah, they don't keep secrets from each other. And Kai doing this just again shows more that she's different from the others now because she has something that the others don't.
She has some feelings, undeniable feelings. All right, here we go. So Dr. Halsey is trying to get some lab results back, but they're locked out. And all she says is this see me thing. Obviously, she knows who it is. But yeah, talk about some pettiness. What do you think here?
Well, I feel one way or another, Holly was going to get what she wanted. So it's just, says it right out, bold in front. See me.
Right. So she's trying to get some results back, the blood results. Dr. Halsey, in the previous scene over here, Aiden talks about how he was barely able to do some stuff on the computer. And this must have been what he did. And so we skip forward, whoops, to this scene, right? And Dr. Halsey is putting on, talking to her daughter in a way that she's not used to, maybe some emotion and trying to explain things to her and all this stuff, just saying that I don't believe in the concept of family, looking at her real nice and good and putting on a good show. and only to find out that all she needed was her face, a recording of her face. Good old Dr. Halsey. What do you think
Oh,
of this charade?
well, I'll say something. She definitely played it very well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But at the same time, it did feel genuine for the most part. Um, you know, the emotional side that she never really expressed being a mother. She didn't really, let that out very much. But this scene for sure kind of showed some elements of it and some elements of care. But those elements of care and love and all that were superseded by her getting what she wanted still at the end of the day. So I like that kind of a conflicting parallel.
hmm Yeah, this just makes me more angry at Dr. Halsey. Like everything she does pisses me off right now. Cause like it's all just to get her way. Doesn't matter who she hurts or how she uses them. Everything is a tool to Dr. Halsey.
Yeah, everything's just a
So
tool that she can use to get what she wants.
everything doesn't matter. Your emotions, tools. Everything else, tool, tool, tool,
Yeah.
tool. All right. So now she has access to her lab. She's talking to the chief, and basically, input A matches input B. They're essentially identical. And she says, "I don't know if this is why the artifact reacts to you and her, but this is basically, this gene is identical. Maybe that's it." Which was interesting to see this identical gene. Well, what do you make of this part? Now, remember, this is brand new. This is not in the lore, okay, guys? This is brand new. What'd you think of this TV lore gene?
Yeah, this
The
is
blessed gene.
new. Yeah, this is new for sure.
Mhm.
We haven't really seen anything like this. I still don't believe it's like the daughter or not daughter, brother sister kind of thing. I don't think that's what it is at all. But it definitely shows you that it's a very rare thing. Like what did Dr. Keith say? It's like, oh, you're 2 in a billion, pretty much, right?
Yeah, two what you're 2 in a billion, yeah, essentially.
Yeah. And so the fact that these two have just happened to come together for
hmm
this, it's uh, definitely something.
So I want to go back to the lore a little bit. In Halo 4, the librarian tells Chief, and also backed up by why the Didact says, that time was your ally and you're out of time. And the librarian basically says that they hid evolution things in their bodies, in their genes, that they're supposed to eventually evolve into, and they just had not come far enough. But they could force it. She could force it out. Um, do you think this is part of what the librarian was talking about? Like, could it be part of that? I mean, just trying to connect it
Um,
back to the lore. I mean, it's obviously not, but do you think it's going to be related in the TV show?
I don't think it's going to be related, but I think it'd be an interesting connection. Tying some interesting threads if they did do that. That'd be a really
Yeah,
interesting way to kind of tie it back in, and in a way, in a fashion.
yeah. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let me pull up that scene. Let me see. It was it Halo 4? It was Halo 4, right?
Yeah, well,
It was the librarian. Reclaimer cutscene. Oh my god, it's an 8-minute cutscene. Let's skip to the good stuff. Now I have this muted, so we're not going to hear it. Hopefully, the closed captions work. Let's see, and of course, I'm grabbing this. What remains of the he's seeking the composer. Yeah, here he is. She's talking about it right here. This is the part where she's talking about this whole piece here. I think she's talking. Let me see. Can I hear it? She's talking the history. Skip. Here we go. When I index mankind for rate population, and then Chief asks, planning for what? Like, you remember this scene, right, Lethal?
Oh yeah, I do, and I do believe I get where it's where you're coming from with this. But yeah, for this timeline, it's only applying to like certain humans. Only a handful were I don't know, randomly selected maybe to possess these traits that allow them to access these foreign artifacts and everything that the foreigners left behind for them, essentially.
Right. So she says, Reclaimer, which is humanity. The gene song I place within you contains many gifts, including an immunity to the composer, right? So the gene song I put inside you contains many gifts. And here we are. The gene alignment is remarkably similar. Booyah. Oh. Yeah, but you get where I'm getting that from, right? This might be part of that gene song that the Reclaimers, that the Forerunners put into humanities when they indexed us. So yeah, I don't know. That's all I thought about when I saw this. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Probably am. All right, so here we go. Come again?
Yeah, I was just saying I could see where you're coming from with that line.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so here we go. McGee has some clothes now. Master Chief goes in to talk to her. He gets angry and he gets hurt. He experiences a lot of pain, and for a Spartan to be in that much pain to collapse, it's pretty. It has to be pretty extreme because they are taught to embrace pain. So she explains to him how she basically got over the part where the keystone was killing her. She basically stopped trying to make it show her what she wanted and started listening to what it wanted to show. At least that's kind of what I got out of this scene. What did you make of what she was trying to tell the Chief here?
Yeah, well, what I think she was saying was, hey, you can't force it. You can't fight it. You have to just surrender to the visions, pretty much, and it'll show you the thing that you want to see, and you'll be able to control it if you just embrace it. I think is what she is basically just saying, because Chief wasn't embracing it; he was just kind of trying to control it to give him what he wants, more or less.
Right. Exactly. All right. Cortana breaks through. The FleetCom fireworks were extremely challenging to bypass, and she gives a little snarky, like, oh, I can create you a patch to fix those things. And Aiden just is like, there are no flaws. I thought it was just a funny little scene. What do you think of this one? That good old Cortana snarkiness.
Well, yeah, even the FleetCom firewalls couldn't stop Cortana.
That's right.
Nothing could stop Cortana. It just shows you how brilliant she is, how capable she is. To even some of the best defenses couldn't, stop her.
That's right. And in the Halo universe, FleetCon defenses are way better than the United States DoD defense, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. Master Chief with Dr. Halsey goes back and he touches the the keystone again. He basically starts having a cardiac failure, cardiac arrest. He goes into cardiac arrest. He basically has a heart attack on this scene. I'm just going to go through it a little bit. McKee was about to attack a doctor, or not a doctor, a nurse, with her, Covenant Chanel number 5 laser energy. I don't know, what do you call it? Energy polish, nail polish. But before she could, she fell into this. And it looks like a seizure. So what do you think about this, that they are experiencing each other's? Do you think it's the proximity to the keystone, or do you think they have become connected somehow?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was wondering the same thing. Like, is it because she's really close to Keystone and she has like the power to sense its presence and feel it, or is it like there's some sort of connection to where they can feel each other's pain in correlation to the artifact? I wasn't sure which one either, but it's really interesting.
It was very interesting. All right, so here we go. So Chief is in cardiac arrest. Cortana shows concern. She says, "Let me shut him down." So she obviously still has a connection to Chief. Let me put him into stasis. Dr. Halsey, because they're saying he's dying. He's dying. And Dr. Halsey basically says, "No, I need to see this." And this was her reaction, this face. And I find this face reaction to be interesting. What did you think of this reaction? Just let him die?
Right. Yeah, even though she's an AI, she's a unique AI where she can kind of express, different, concerns and emotions that other AI can't really. And she was assigned to, be with John 117, and she wanted to carry out her duty. So regardless of Chief is rejecting her, Cortana still cares for John, still wants to help him in any way she can.
All right, let me throw a wrench into your thinking here. Do you think she was concerned for John's life, as in just concerned for him, or do you think she's concerned for his life because she's in his brain, and if he dies, she probably dies? So do you think this face here is in reaction to John's life or to her own life?
I still think it's John's life, because I don't know. I don't think she's lived long enough to care about her own life. Does that make sense? I think she just cares more about what she's assigned to do more than her own self-interest. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think for the sake of the story and for the sake of the Master Chief Cortana story, this face of concern, it better be for Master Chief. Right. Otherwise, they're just throwing more. I don't know. They're making it weird. That's the way I'm going to say it. Yeah. All right. So he finally stops fighting. He gives in. He goes into a state of zen. He reaches nirvana. And at the same time, they start having visions of something. So what do you think about this state into nirvana? And of course, McKee also goes into nirvana, guys. I just didn't capture that scene because it's like a half second long. So what do you think about him finally giving in and going into nirvana?
I liked it, all the scenes that we saw where Chief was struggling with it. You could tell it was kind of hurting him. He was really struggling to kind of focus on these visions, but now he's conquered it. He's embraced it. And now you can see the fruits of that. He's completely able to get a harness on it. And I liked it. But also the visions. The visions were, you could see the full light, the full brutality of some of the other things that Halsey had put these children through.
Yeah, I feel like to get to this nirvana state, the stone makes you experience like all of your suffering all at once, because he re-experienced his kidnapping, of course. He re-experienced his augmentations, the training, all that good stuff. All that was painful to him, probably.
I like that.
I don't see how it couldn't be. So, yeah. So he reaches nirvana, and lo and behold, not only is he in nirvana, but so is McKee. So they're both in nirvana together. And I'll let Lethal take it away here. They're both in nirvana together. He's no longer in cardiac arrest. She's no longer in cardiac arrest. They are having literally the same experience, at least from the body. But I don't think anybody knows what they're experiencing in their mind, in their soul. Um, what do you think of this? That they are in sync here, linked to the keystone.
Well, let's go back to the grass scene
Yeah,
real quick with that.
yeah.
I was half expecting them to like do the the generic like run in the field at each other, like hug each other. And I'm talking about
Like in the Song of Music or something, or
yeah,
what?
yeah.
That
I was definitely
would have been
expecting that.
hilarious.
But yeah, they're in sync with each other. They're expressing the exact same thing, the kind of exact
Uh,
same
I
environment.
know.
So I really like that.
I'm having terrible flashbacks. Oh my god, I'm suffering. I've seen Star
I
Wars
get you.
Episode 3 or Episode 2 of Anakin and Princess Amidala, or Padme rolling through the fields. Why did you bring this suffering upon me? Lethal. All right, here we go. Yeah, so he looks up, and what a moment, Lethal. Talk to me.
Oh, it was great. We finally got to see after 6 episodes the Halo ring. And I think it was a cool scene. Where you saw the nice, beautiful landscape for the ring. The grassy fields, the open, pretty environments, and the ring itself. Of course, the scale. The scale is one thing, but the music also, the subtle, callback to the classic Halo music. That was great.
Right? I mean, and look at this. This is, oh man, you want to talk about, fanboying over here. I was like, oh my God, it's Halo. Yeah. So she's seen it too. And they have this moment here, this little weird touch moment. I don't know what else to call it. I don't know if Chief was just trying to see if she was real or what, but she was there. Chief was there. Um, yeah, so there you go. I don't know what to make out of this weird touchy moment
Well, I think
because
that's
it
what it
shows some
was, where he
vulnerability.
was just trying to see if she was real. Kind of like, if are we actually here, or are we actually seeing this? Do we actually feel each other?
Right.
I don't think they're quite going the the John McKee love route, not yet, at least.
I hope they don't. Jeez, I hope they don't. I hope they don't remove the Cortana Chief love story and throw
Yeah.
in McKee love story. But you never know with these guys. What do you think about this yellow line here on Master Chief's uniform? Do you think it's just the sun glare, or do you think his uniform is actually glowing?
I think it's the sun glare. To be honest, I don't think
Right.
it's
Yeah,
yellow line.
I think so too. All right, here we go. Last scene of the show. Dr. Halsey, he opens his eyes, he comes out of it, nice and calm, and um, Dr. Halsey, Dr. Keys, Dr. Miranda Keys, asks him, "Where'd you go?" End of the episode. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, what do you think of this cliffhanger ending?
Well, I think if it does one thing, it just shows you that two things actually. Chief, finally conquered the artifact. He knows how to use it properly, fully under his control now. And then I think Chief finally knows what they're after now. He's seen what they're after, Halo. He's
Mhm.
now experienced Halo pretty much.
That's
And I
right.
think the face we're seeing is, I guess, determination. I don't know.
I feel like the pupils are over like heavily dilated. Not really, but more dilated than they probably should be. And I feel like he's coming out of this emotional state like whoa.
Well, yeah, but
And
I also think it's leading to, okay, now I think he understands the Halo ring, what they're after. So I think it
yeah,
might lead to kind of, what sets in motion the thing to get them to go to Halo finally. To actually go there, all of them, not just Chief.
yeah. I see that as well. All right. So there you go, guys. That was the episode, and it's time. It's ranking time. Overall review. Lethal, you start off as always. What'd you think of Halo Episode 6
I
overall?
thought it
And
was. pretty decent. Not action, but I know action's not everything. I'm not one of those guys who thinks action is everything. So I'm going to give it an 85.
85? All right. An 85 because it was light on action. I think this episode finally put a reason to have an emotional Master Chief. This episode kind of culminated in a lot of storytelling webs finally coming together as to why Chief gets the right to be angry, why he's connected to this artifact, and he's the only one. It's moving a lot of things forward, good for the series. Like, what I like the most about this Halo is finally they show me why Chief is emotional, as opposed to always cool, calm, and collected. He's not always calm and collected, but for the most, he's not overly reactive like the TV show. And I really enjoyed that part. The McKee character finally got to enjoy seeing what she offered to the Chief, and maybe now that they've both experienced this Halo, he will open up to her, for better or for worse. And I really enjoyed the story in this episode more than I've enjoyed the story in any of the other ones. I'm gonna sit this one at a 90. So yeah, this is probably the quintessential episode of the series so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, good breakdown. Yeah, again, I'll just say this: I do agree with you that the emotional side of Chief finally paid off, because I don't think a lot of people, understood it or kind of gave it a chance. But now this episode, it kind of was executed in such a way where you finally understand where it's coming from, and the newfound things that are going to be set in motion for the next episodes that lead to him.
Absolutely. It was so funny because at first I thought they were doing an emotional Chief to just kind of fast forward some of the lore. Like they don't have to go through it. They could just skip it because of feelings. And they kind of do, but I finally see some of the end goals. So yeah, the show just got better with this episode, in my opinion. Yeah. So 9 out of me, 85 out of Lethal. And we'll gather our scores. I'm writing them down. We'll gather our scores and see what the average is for Halo from Lethal and the average is for me. And then we'll give you the Halo Guys meta as if it's worth anything. But hey, it's going to be something. So, Lethal, that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for being here. As always, you could have been doing anything else on your Sunday night, and you chose to spend it here with me and Lethal Terminus talking about Halo. And this is why you guys, our chat, are always the MVP. Thank you so much. Lethal, tell the chat, the MVP chat, where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good show today. I liked it. But you can find me on Lethal Terminus on Twitter and Lethal Space Terminus on Xbox.
Absolutely. And I'm Axle1324. As always, you can find me here on my YouTube channel or on Twitch, Axle1324 Gaming. You can find me on Twitter or on Xbox, just Axle1324, exactly how you see it right here. All right, guys, we have been the Halo guys. We will see you guys next week for a review of episode 7. Have a good night, everybody.